welcome to our video. My name is Laura Bulleit. I am the Vice President for Student Affairs here at Michigan Tech. And Kelly and I are here to talk to you today about the best way to prepare your student for coming to Michigan Tech in the fall. So you may be watching this video because you weren't able to make it to one of our in-person sessions for orientation, or maybe you were here and it was super overwhelming and you're just wanting some additional information. So hopefully we'll cover everything for you today.
Great. And I'm Kellie Raffaelli. I'm the Dean of Students. So like Laura said, we're going to be sharing some tips and tricks for you to get ready to send your student off to Michigan Tech in the fall. I personally have a daughter who is going to college this fall for the first time as well. So although I'll be supporting your student, I'm right there with you in the nervousness, the excitement, and the anticipation of what's to come for my student this coming year.
Yeah, and I've already been through that. I have children that have already graduated from college, and so I think I bring that perspective as well. Some things that worked and didn't work for me.
A lot of the things we're going to share today too are based on the work that we do every day, some of the experiences we've had supporting students, and some of the things that we support them through. So we thought we'd share some ideas on how to get ahead of the things to come and prepare your student to be successful in the fall.
Yeah. So besides Kelly and I, there are also a couple of other people that you're going to become familiar with through orientation and maybe this first year. And if you send a message or an email to orientation@mtu.edu, one of these people are probably going to be answering that email for you. So they are Anna McClatchy, she's our Assistant Dean for Student Success, and Dawn Corwin, our Assistant Director for Orientation Services.
Yeah, they also work with a team of student leaders who help organize orientation, plan orientation, and really are going to get your student through that first couple of weeks of the semester and make sure that they're successful as well.
All right, so we're in July. I know your to-do lists are hugely long, but I want to move some things up to the top of that to-do list for you. And these are really important things to make sure that you cover with your student before you come to campus. And first of all is insurance. So two different types of insurance that I'm concerned with mainly. It's health insurance and renter's insurance. So if your student is covered under your health insurance policy, make sure you're sending your card with them and that they know how to use it and what those numbers mean and how to make an appointment even. If they don't have insurance, Michigan Tech does offer a group health insurance program for students. It is not mandatory. We don't require that our students show us proof of insurance, but it is highly recommended. And then the other thing I mentioned was renter's insurance. So Kelly and I have we've helped students through a couple of different situations. Most recently here on our campus, personal property is not covered under the university's insurance policy. So you really want to make sure that your student has renter's insurance if they're living in the residence hall, or when they move off campus in their second, third, or fourth year, they'll need renter's insurance as well. And it's usually pretty reasonable. I know I purchased it for my children, and it was maybe $100 or $120. So check with your home insurance provider to see if they offer that through your policy. But if not, really encourage you to get a separate policy for your student. So Kelly, you've got some other things that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, well, let's stay on the healthcare topic. So I think it's really important to practice making those doctor's appointments. Have your student call and make a doctor's appointment. Get them prepared for the types of questions they ask, like, what's your birthday? And do you have any, when they're in the doctor, do you have family history of this or that? This is the great time to talk to your student about that information so they're prepared to go to the doctor. It's important to talk to them about when is it appropriate to go to the ER or just the clinic or something like that. Have these conversations before they were relying on you to help make those decisions, and there may be a situation where they can't get in touch with you in the moment and they've got to make that decision. Another important thing is to really make sure they are managing their prescriptions. So when they go to the doctor this summer, talk about those prescriptions. Can they get multiple months filled at once? If a student is taking a controlled substance, say for ADHD, they may not be able to get the medication for the entire time. They might not make it to the Thanksgiving break. So these are things that are really important to talk about ahead of time. Another thing that's really important to think about is if your student is going to work on campus. Important documentation that your student will need in addition to their insurance card and other information is employment documentation. So that would be either their birth certificate and social security card, or a passport. They'll need some sort of proof of this type of documentation for on-campus employment or even off-campus employment. They really will need these documents at this point.
Right. And I know you might be nervous about sending that original social security card or their birth certificate with them, especially if your student is a little bit forgetful. So something that we would recommend would be to purchase, a small lockbox or something like that for your student that they could keep in their residence hall. And that's also a great place for them to store any prescription medications that they have. So they're just not out, on their dresser or something like that. Another thing to put at the top of your to-do list is a conversation about transportation. So I know a lot of students were asking us about bringing a car to campus. Are we allowed to? Are we not? Well, you can, but you might want to think twice as a first-year student, because you're going to have to park your car not behind the residence hall, not super close or convenient. It's way up on the hill. And so not only do you have to walk up there to get your car or walk back after you've run your errands, but in the wintertime, you're going to have to shovel your car out. They keep the parking lots clear, but your individual space you're responsible for. So think about that. If your student wants a car, walk through some of those things with them, what that's really going to mean. A lot of our students bring bikes to campus, so it's a really bikeable area, whether it's a mountain bike or just a bike for fun. We've got a great waterfront trail that they can use too, and there's plenty of bike storage in the residence halls during the non-winter months. During the winter, then we make the students bring their bikes inside. We have inside storage for them because it just interferes with snow removal. So you're going to hear this snow theme coming across a lot.
Yes, absolutely. But don't worry, they don't necessarily need to have a vehicle. Michigan Tech has campus shuttles. The city of Houghton has a shuttle. The city of Hancock has a shuttle. These shuttles will get you around town to the grocery store, to Walmart, to the pharmacy, where you need to go. So we do have campus shuttles. They can take those throughout the year, even in the summer. And then the undergraduate student government hosts what they call break buses. So during the Thanksgiving break, the winter break, and spring break, the undergraduate student government will organize buses to Lower Michigan and also through Wisconsin to the Chicago O'Hare Airport. The tickets are $150 round trip, or they were last year. The way your student will know about these is through email, social media, and posters around campus. They do go fast, so I encourage you to remind your student to take a look out for those so they can get those tickets right away. And then we do have a local airport. It's called the Houghton County Airport. The flights go from Houghton to Chicago, and you have to get a connecting flight through Chicago. So there's only 2 flights a day, and unfortunately they are often canceled in the winter because, again, we do have a lot of snow, but it is an option. But we also do not have really any, we don't have any Uber, and we have one guy maybe who does Lyft, but it's not very reliable. So they will have to find a way to get to the airport as well. It's not something that we have in our community. So there are some options, and when those flights do get canceled and you're stuck in Chicago, like many people in the Houghton community have experienced, we do have a Facebook group called Stuck Huskies. You can join this group, parents join it, students join it, and it's a great way to find a ride and find out who else is stuck, and often people will jump in a car together and drive home from the airport. So couple little resources to help your student get to campus.
Yeah. So let's talk about some things that they're going to need to know when they first get here. May sound a little silly, but laundry, hygiene, eating well, nutrition, and then preparing for winter. So those are some things that seem like they should be second nature to students, but not always, especially the laundry piece. So make sure you're going over how to do laundry with your student.
Yeah, laundry's free on campus, both washer and dryer, and in every laundry room across campus, there are how-to guides on how to do laundry. And part of that was because the students keep breaking the washing machines. They're overloading them, they're shoving too much stuff in there, and then the machines are breaking. So it would be great to do a review before your student gets here on how to do their laundry while they're here.
Right, they don't need to put all of their clothes in one machine at the same time.
Another issue really is personal hygiene. I know it sounds crazy that we're mentioning this, but you know, our students are busy. They're focused on their studies. They get zoned in, and maybe they forget to take a shower for a couple of days. And somebody in the family is not around to say, "Hey, when was the last time you took a shower?" And so showering does become an issue. We have seen it lead to some roommate conflicts. And so showering, foot care, managing body odor, these are all really important things that we do see come up in the residence halls that we do have to help students manage. So having a good conversation about that before your student comes would be really important.
Yeah, we're going to talk again about winter because, you know, we are in a place that routinely gets 280, 300, 325. Last year we had like 340 inches of snow. It was a great winter. But we want to make sure that your student is prepared for that. So, you know, make sure that they have winter boots, make sure that they have a warm coat, layers. It does get really, really hot in the residence hall, so they're going to be in, you know, shorts and t-shirts in the residence halls, and then throwing on a coat to go to class, and maybe only throwing on a coat because the typical scene across campus is first snowfall, and you got the student bundled up, walking to class, hat on, coat on, shorts and flip-flops. No joke. So,
but they need to be prepared. Good boots, good coat is really the key. And then finally, what also helps us get through the winter is good eating habits. We have to, you know, exercise, getting active, and eating well. Eating pizza day after day after day is going to get old, and it's also probably not that great for you. We have fantastic dining halls throughout campus. We have a dietitian who students can meet with and talk about their nutrition goals. But you know, talk to them about sticking to eating a variety of foods, not eating the same things all the time, and encourage them to try new things. The dining halls often have international choices, or they do special events, so, you know, encourage your Husky to step out of their comfort zone food-wise as well. Yeah. All right, well, now we'll talk about communication, both with tech and with your student. So, Michigan Tech sends official communications only to your student via their MTU email. I know this is hard. I'm coming off of this too. I just spent 4 years micromanaging my students, my high school students' grades and all their communications and being CC'd on everything. Well, now you're not going to be CC'd on anything. Your student is going to receive all official communications. That means housing information, recontracting, student loan information, work study information, anything financial, and all of their grades. And their email is not going to say, here are your grades. It's going to say, log in to the experience portal to see your grades. So the students need to be staying on top of their email.
Right. So as parents, though, your student can grant you guest access so that you can see things like their financial aid information, their billing information, their final grades, and then for their first year, you can see their midterm grades. We only do midterm grades for first year students. But your student has to go in to the experience portal and request that you have guest access, and they have to request each type of access. So, you know, we see a lot of students that start out giving their parents access to everything, and then maybe year 2, 3, all of a sudden the parents don't have access to grades anymore, and that's because the student can go in and uncheck that box. But that's really the only way that you're going to have access to their official information is if they grant you guest access. But that's not to mean that we're not going to communicate with you as parents too. So Kelly can talk a little bit about the system that we have set up now for parent communication.
Yeah, we just launched something called the Husky Family Den. If you haven't received the email, we can send it to you, the link to sign up. This is our new family communication portal. So this is where we're going to be posting reminders about important dates and bits of information to try to keep you a little bit more in the loop in case your student isn't giving you the full picture of information. And so we're really excited to launch this summer, and we really hope that it increases communication with parents, and families feel like they know what's going on.
So we should also mention why you don't have access to your students' information is because of a federal policy called FERPA. That's Federal Education Rights and Privacy Act. So that dictates what we are and are not allowed to share with you, even if you are the parent that's paying the bill, even if you are there, they're a dependent on your tax return. That doesn't matter. Once the student is 18 or college students, so we do have some students that come as 16, 17-year-olds, but once they are enrolled at Michigan Tech as a full-time college student, FERPA does apply to them, and we cannot tell you what their grades are. We cannot tell you all of that information. We can tell you if they're enrolled or not, and then really that's kind of about it. So that's something that's really difficult for parents to come to terms with. I know it was hard for me. It's going to be hard for me. Kelly.
Yes, it's been, I feel out of the loop. Yeah. So it's hard, but this is a great opportunity for you to start having these conversations now about what your communication expectations are with your student. Are you going to talk every day? We hope not. We hope they're out there having a good time and getting to know new people. But set a plan. Maybe you talk twice a week, maybe every Wednesday and every Sunday. This is really important to set these expectations and stick to them, because if something does come up that's amiss or they start having a hard time, you'll know, right? Because you know your student better than anyone. So if you're talking to them every Wednesday and Sunday and now they start sounding like they're not doing too well, you can activate some of the resources that we're going to share today so that you can get them the help that they need. But we think it's good for them to be here and meeting people and trying new experiences and not necessarily calling home every day, because they will deal with homesickness. And so having a structure and an expectation of communication goes a real long way.
Right. But if you do notice that something is off, or you have a concern about your student, or you haven't heard from them for several days, give our office a call. Contact the Dean of Students office. We also have a report a concern form that you can fill out on the website, and we encourage you to fill it out with your contact information so that we can at least let you know that we received that information about your student, and let you know that we're going to reach out to them. Again, we're not going to be able to tell you much about that conversation that we had with them, but we can assure you that we will reach out and follow up and let you know that we did that. So that's not uncommon at all for parents to do, to reach out to Kelly or somebody in our office, or fill out that form.
And if something is amiss and the student is struggling, we often will then try to engage the student and the parent, family, the support person in a conversation together. And so it may be that you let me know that there's something going on. I reach out to the student, call them in my office, we have a conversation, and the conversation is serious, and so we want to pull you in. But again, that will all be up to the student and whether or not they want you to participate in those conversations.
Yeah. So, just bottom line, the Dean of Students office is always the best first place to start. I know the tendency might be to reach out to an instructor or their academic advisor, but we have the systems in place to best support your student. We have connections in the residence halls, so our office is the best place to start, really. And I think if you were to contact an academic advisor or an instructor, they're going to be so kind and so helpful, but they're going to refer you to our office.
They're just going to refer you to our office, And know that, in the first few weeks of school, this is the first 6 weeks of the semester for a first-year student. It can be some of the most exhilarating, but also the most difficult. Your student is experiencing a roller coaster of emotions. They're excited, everything is new, they're away from home, this is so exciting, but then it starts to set in that they're far away from home and this is all new and I don't like it and it's hard, right? And so in the first 6 weeks, they're going to go from having a great time to feeling really low, to having a great time to feeling really low. If they call you and they're crying, our advice is just listen. Just listen to what they're saying and empathize. Don't try to solve problems. Just listen to what they have to say. Suggest going to talk to some of the resources you've heard about today. Suggest going to talk to their resident advisor, getting out and trying something new. We do encourage you not to say, you're right, this is terrible, come home, right? Because most likely they're not coming back. And we want them to stay and thrive, and we have so many support systems in place that we can help them. And so hang in there. It can be a roller coaster, but know that it's really normal.
Especially when the first round of exams happens,
Yes.
which is usually week 3 or 4. I know the university chemistry exam is a big one, and it's typically week 3. And that's a real wake-up moment for some students. Our students obviously are bright, intelligent students. They were tops of their class, and they're used to getting good grades. They're used to having an easy time, most of them, and they come to Michigan Tech, and everybody else was the top of their class too. And so now it feels a little bit different, and you might not get that A or B on your first exam, and a lot of our students are really upset about that. So again, support them through that. Encourage them to reach out for help. Learning centers, academic help is really the norm here. That's just something that we try to get across to students. It's not something to be looked down upon. It's something to be expected, that you're going to get the help that you need, and you're going to reach out, and you're going to study with your hall mates and your friends and your classmates. So
yeah, another great resource is the Water Center for Student Success. They have student success coaches, and these are peers that your student can meet with to help them with anything from just keeping organized to having an accountability partner to helping them navigate some of college life, right? So in addition to academic subject coaches in the learning centers, we also have just student success coaches. So if that's something your student needs, you can reach out to the Success Center, and or your student can reach out to the Success Center and get that support that they need.
Yeah. And sometimes that support might involve taking some time off, like if they have an illness or health issue or a family emergency that they need to be away from classes for. We do have an attendance policy, so students are expected to go to class, and a lot of instructors do take attendance, and it is factored into their grade. But if a student needs to miss class for 3 or more days, we do have an excused absence that we can send out for their students. So Kelly, you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so for example, if you have a family like a severe family emergency or particularly a death in the family, it's really important for the student to reach out to our office. We have a form that they can fill out for an excused absence. They will need to provide some sort of documentation, and then we take over the communication to their instructors. We let their instructors know that they're going to be missing. We don't tell them the reason why, we just tell them the student has an excused absence between this date and that date. If a student has a severe illness that's going to be more than 3 days, so like the flu or something really severe, and they go to the doctor and they have some documentation, we will also excuse them from class for that time. But anything short of 3 or more days, the students need to talk to their instructor individually. And to be honest, know that not every instructor is going to excuse that absence, and that's just part of it. Some will and some won't. And so we do our best to advocate and support the students. But if there's something serious going on, they should let our office know immediately.
Right. And I think we should clarify a little bit too about final exams in college. So our final exam period is pretty sacred. There's really no getting out of final exams. There's very, very few instances where final exams are rescheduled. So if you're booking flights home or transportation home for your student at the end of the semester and they have final exams, our suggestion is to wait until that final exam schedule comes out, and that's usually like week 4 or 5 that the schedule is posted for their finals, because you're not going to be able to get out of an exam if you say, oh, my ride is leaving 3 o'clock on Thursday and I have an exam at 5 on Thursday, the instructor's going to say, sorry, you've got to stay here for your exam. And that's, something that's really hard for students to understand too. So just make sure that you're making those arrangements for getting home at the end of the semester, after the students know for sure when their final exams are.
And of course, emergencies are different. If there's some sort of emergency, again, the student needs to contact our office immediately so we can help make a plan for them to be successful. We have lots of options, and we have a great staff person in my office. Her name is Tiffany. She's, basically a crisis manager. And so she can support your student through any sort of crisis and make sure they have the best plan they need. So when your student is having some issues or concerns, maybe that's with a roommate or some other issue that's going on, a great resource for them to start with is their resident assistant, or their RA. That's the peer that lives on their floor, who has extensive training, who is part of the staff, and the student can go to them with any sort of issue. When we receive a report of concern or have a concern about a student, we often start with their RA and we'll say, have you spoken with the student? What do you know? How are they doing? We also have a professional staff member in the building. That's called a Residence Education Coordinator, or REC. We love acronyms here. And so that's a professional staff person. That person is in the building, lives in the building, and so always, every day, there's somebody on call 24/7. Plus, we also have our public safety officers who are available 24/7 and are very responsive. Speaking of emergencies, if we have a medical emergency on campus, Michigan Tech also has an EMS service. So we do have those things in place. And then some other folks that your student can go to and talk to is they can talk to their professors. Many of the instructors and professors on campus have very great close relationships with students, and students can go to them if they're having troubles with something, and also their academic advisors. Oftentimes I meet with students and I tell them this is a great conversation to have with your academic advisor because it has to do with your academic schedule or what your plans are for the future. If a student is having a mental health crisis or just needs or is having a mental health concern, we do have the Center for Student Mental Health and Wellbeing. We have 13 clinical counselors on campus. Students can make appointments with these folks. They can attend group meetings. They have drop-ins. They have different events that are always going on to provide support for students. So if your student is needing mental health support, we have that here on campus free of charge. And the student can pursue that when they are here. Of course, the friends are also great resources. At Michigan Tech, we do a lot of hard work telling everyone about the Report of Concern page. If even students and friends who think something's up with their friend, they will use the Report of Concern to let us know that there is a concern. We have a really strong turnaround time, and so we have a fantastic team here who is on top of the Report of Concerns and addressing any issues that need to come up. And then really finally, just to give you a glimpse into what to expect when you come in the fall. By the time you see this video, you have already gotten your move-in times assigned and for your students' residence hall. And so we'll do move-in the first 2 days of fall orientation, and then orientation will start on Tuesday evening. Your student will meet with their orientation team leader, and then we will do the university welcome. There is an optional parent session. This is not required. It's if anyone wants to talk to us in person after the welcome, we will be available. And then bright and early Wednesday morning, your student is going to be very busy. They're going to be with their teams, and they're going to go to required sessions about campus safety, study skills, career prep, and then they'll also do lots of different academic meetings and meet and greets with their departments, and they'll have ample opportunity to meet other students, to do social events, to do all sorts of activities. All of the residence halls host a different activity, and so we just are keeping them really busy and really social for the first couple of days, and then classes will begin on Monday. So that's a little glimpse into what to expect in the fall semester.
Yeah, well, speaking of fall semester, if you are interested in our academic calendar, that's available on our website. You can just search academic calendar Michigan Tech and it will come up for you, and that gives you all the important dates, like the first day of classes, when our fall break is, when the Thanksgiving break occurs, and the final exam period, and then the end of the semester. And that it does that semester by semester. That calendar also has due dates for their student bill. It has drop dates for if they want to drop a class. So all of that information is on the academic calendar.
Another great calendar is the events calendar. So you can subscribe to the Michigan Tech events calendar. Why we think this is great is when if your student is telling you that there's nothing to do or they have nothing to do, you can say, oh, I saw these great things on the events calendar. Why don't you go check those out? So you can check those out. And as I mentioned earlier, we've launched the Husky Family Den parent communication portal. So this will be another great place where you can stay connected and learn what's going on campus and all the important dates that you need to know as the families.
Right. So, this is just such a really exciting time for your student, for you. There's a little apprehension involved, but overall, it's just so much fun to see the new students come on campus, and we're really excited, to see you as a family on campus and obviously your student, and we can't wait for the fall to happen.
Yeah, we're really excited. And we're so glad that you're a part of the Husky family. And if you ever have any questions, just reach out. Dean of Students at mtu.edu is the best way to reach out, or you can do that report of concern, and we also will get back to you. And again, just welcome to Michigan Tech.
Yeah.
And go Huskies.
Go Huskies.